There are a lot of great comic books coming out tomorrow. Let's talk about which ones I'm getting. What's up, guys? BJ Kicks here. I buy comics, I read them, and I review them, all for your viewing pleasure. If you're new here, welcome. If not, welcome back. On this channel, I talk about comics, so subscribe if you're interested. Now, this is the latest in a series I like to call What I Am Getting, where I take a look at the books coming out the upcoming new comic book day. In this case, it's tomorrow, October 5th, and I tell you what's on my pull list, what's on the chopping block, and what's on the maybe list that I'll be making a game day decision on. This week is a lighter week for me because I've been really intentional about cutting titles out of the pull list. So super excited. Let me go ahead and bring it up on my iPad so I can tell you what I'm getting. Now, the book that I am most excited for this week, this is a hard decision and you might be surprised, but the book I'm most excited for is X-Men Red issue number 7. Now, X-Men Red has been my favorite of the X-Men titles, and we're in the middle of this Avengers X-Men Eternals event called Judgment Day. And I can't lie, I was kind of turned off by just how many books were tied into this series, but now I'm caught up and I'm down for the ride at this point. So the Judgment Day event basically, I don't know. How do I put this? The Avengers have basically raised up a god who has decided to judge humanity and decide whether or not the world is going to keep on going as it has been, depending on, just how many people are judged and deemed worthy versus not. And it's been a very interesting series. But my favorite X-Men book during this series has been X-Men Red, focusing on Arakko. And Storm and Magneto both have seats on Arakko's version of the Quiet Council, and they've really stepped it up in fighting against this new threat in the Eternals. And I'm down for it. X-Men Red number 6, I really, really loved the way Magneto was used. And again, I'm down for this title. It's Storm leading not a country, a planet full of citizens, mutant citizens. And it's dope. So I'm expecting this issue to be dope too. But especially after the events of issue 6, I can't say much else because I don't want to spoil anything. This one's got a cover price of $3.99. I'm grabbing cover A. Next up, from the Marvel Comics pull list, since that's what we're talking about. No, this is not a replay. This is AXE X-Men number 1. Now, the Avengers X-Men Eternals, this Judgment Day event, has had a bunch of tie-ins that, for the most part, have stayed in books that already existed. But now they've got a bunch of one-shots. So last week we had the Avengers one-shot. This week we have the X-Men one-shot. And the solicitation says it is a story-critical one-shot. So I'm going to take them at their word and buy it because I don't want to be missing any of the story of this Judgment Day event. But yeah, so it's got a cover price of $3.99. I'm not grabbing cover A. What you're seeing on the screen is actually a variant by Arthur Adams, because when you see Storm on a cover, you buy the Storm cover. So $3.99, I'm getting that cover. And that's it for the Marvel books on my list this week. It's definitely just an X-Men week. But my Marvel total is going to be $8 if I just stick to the list and don't buy any extras. Now, let's move on to DC Comics, where the first book on the pull list could have been the one I was most excited for, but it just got etched out just a little bit. But we're talking about Batman issue 128. I have been loving this Chip Zdarsky run on Batman. We've been getting references to all sorts of stories from the past that I just happen to have read because I'm a big Batman fan. We talked about Tower of Babel. We've got a tie-in to R.I.P. and the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh has made an appearance. It's just been really, really cool. But what's been building is there's this new villain, if you will. It's basically like a robot or an android that Batman created called Failsafe in order to stop himself if he ever got out of hand. How did Batman get out of hand? You got to go read issues 125, 126, and 127 to get caught up. But this android is trying to end Batman and the Bat family. The stakes is high, to quote De La Soul, and I've been loving it. So Batman 128, we should get some more history of Failsafe, just how this android came to be and how powerful he is. What did Batman put in this android? Why is he so dangerous? So it's going to be a good book. And I'll go ahead and tell you, I'll let the secret out. I already bought my DC books for the week, so I'm reading this ASAP. But anyway, Batman 128 has a cover price of $4.99. And I bought the cover A. Next up is The Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, issue number 5. I'm only calling this book Dark Crisis. But Dark Crisis number 5, if they wanted me to call it the other name, like they should have gave it that name from the beginning. But anyway, Dark Crisis, it's the latest DC Crisis, and I was really excited to read it. And then I fell behind, and now I'm like, I'm just gonna binge it. I'm gonna binge it the same way I binged Death Metal 2 years ago, and that's just how it's gonna be. But Dark Crisis, issue number 5 of 7, so we're definitely coming close to the end. I feel like this cover could be a bit of a spoiler for someone like me who hasn't read any of it, but I mean, you knew the Justice League was coming back, so the fun will be finding out how. It's got a cover price of $4.99. I bought cover A. Next up on the DC Comics pull list is Dark Crisis, The Deadly Green, issue number 1. Now, this is a one-shot tie-in to Dark Crisis featuring Swamp Thing. And I don't read Swamp Thing books normally. Not that I have anything against them. I just haven't picked up any Swamp Thing. So I decided to grab this one now. As you can see, I have the cover B. And the reason I bought cover B is because normally I try to just buy DC cover A's because DC normally charges $1 more for their variants. But this one costs the same as the A cover, so I bought it. Super dope. But anyway, it's a Superman and Swamp Thing team up. So it should be fun. I'm not reading it anytime soon, but I love that cover. So cover price is $5.99. I bought the cover B. And the last book on the DC Comics pull list is Monkey Prince, issue number 7. Now, Monkey Prince, written by written by Gene Lin Yang, and art by Bernard Chang. I fell behind on this series. I read the first 4 issues, really enjoyed them, and then I misplaced issue 5, and here we have 6 and 7 just sitting here waiting for me to read issue 5. But it's just a really fun series about this kid named Marcus who finds out he's got the powers of the Monkey King, and he's flying through the DC universe, displaying those powers, learning about himself, and having to stand up to, like, you know, some of DC's finest superheroes. It's been really dope. This cover right here that you're seeing is the cover A, and it's got Marcus fighting Aquaman. I mean, that's just dope. So anyway, it's got a cover price of $3.99. It's a fun book. It's one of those books that, like, you don't need to be reading a bunch of other stuff to enjoy. Always compare it to something like Super Sons. It's just got that warm love in it. And the art is dope, and there's sneaker culture references. So it's just great. It's great to me. But anyway, Monkey Prince number 7. It's got a cover price of $3.99. I'm grabbing cover A. In fact, I already did. And that's it for the DC Comics pull list. I can tell you that I did stick to the list, and so my DC books only cost me $20 this week. Not bad, not bad at all. So let's move on to the indies, where there's only one book on my pull list, and you probably can guess it. It's The Walking Dead Deluxe, issue 48. Walking Dead Deluxe by Robert Kirkman. I think it's Charlie Adler on the art. I'm not sure. But it's The Walking Dead in color with David Finch covers, and I plan to custom bind them into my own hardcover collection. So that's why I've been buying these issues every 2 weeks for the last 2 years, and I'm going to continue to do so. But Walking Dead Deluxe issue 48. It's got a cover price of $3.99. I'm grabbing cover A. And that's it for the indies on my list. So those are going to cost me, or that one is going to cost me $4. And my grand total this week is only going to be $32. That's before my subscriber discount, and it's also before taxes. So about $30 this week, which is dope. That's like $20 that I saved that I can put towards books for next week, or like hardcovers and stuff like that. So now I did have to chop a couple of books off the pull list in order to achieve such a low number. So what are the 2 titles I left off the list? I stopped buying Marauders. So I finally cut Marauders off after issue 6, which was an AXE tie-in. It just wasn't for me. Nothing wrong with the book. It just wasn't my cup of tea. And the other book that I dropped off my list was also a Marvel book. I dropped Hulk. Hulk was actually fairly good of a book, but it was like we got 3 issues and then they jumped straight into a Hulk versus Thor event. And, I got behind. I didn't read the Hulk Thor Banner of War event. And I figure whatever was going to happen after that event, it's probably important to know what happened during the event. And I'm just going to get further and further behind. So even though a new story arc is starting this week with issue number 9, I decided to drop off and I'll just read it on Marvel Unlimited later on or not. We'll see. But that's Hulk by Donny Cates and Ryan Ottley. Super dope. Now, there were some books on the maybe list, and who knows, I might go back to the shop tomorrow and grab them when I pick up my Marvel books. But Spider-Man, number 1. Spider-Man by Dan Slott and Mark Bagley. I've not been super excited about anything that Spider-Man's had going on in the last 3 years. The current main Amazing Spider-Man title is pretty good right now. I'm enjoying it. But I don't know that I need a side story. And apparently this is like spinning out of the events of the Spider-Verse. And I haven't been reading any of the Spider-Verse books either. The only thing that makes me want to buy this book is that there's a variant cover by Ryan Stegman. And I just love Ryan Stegman drawing Spider-Man. So it's on the maybe list. If I see it, I'm probably going to grab it. It's got a cover price of $3.99, if I'm not mistaken. So that's the list. That is my pull list for the week. Like I said, a modest week. I got to go grab those 2 Marvel books and that indie book tomorrow. And I'll talk about them on the Hangout. We'll talk about, we're definitely going to talk about Batman on the Hangout. We'll talk about some other stuff during my reviews of the week. So I hope to see you then. Now, before we wrap up, I got to give a huge shout out to the channel family. Whether you joined on the squad level or the family level, the channel members really help make content on this channel possible. One, you help me pay for these comics so that I can actually read and review them, but also you help make up for the ad dollars that we don't get because we decided not to cater to different trends and unboxings and hauls and all that stuff. And we're just going to keep it comics over here because comics are dope. So shout out to all the channel members who are scrolling on the screen right now. And I'm super excited to have you. And if you would like to support the channel, you can consider joining the membership, and all the perks and details are listed in the description below. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you saw something you liked. And if not, hey, that's cool. You can always buy what you like. Just make sure you read what you buy and be nice to others because kindness makes the world go round. Peace.